Hello, my name is Officer Ben Pack from the Los Angeles Police Department and President of the Korean American Law Enforcement Organization. Welcome to a presentation of the Security and Awareness as Fundamental Education, SAFE, a collaborative project sponsored by the California Department of Social Services and between PACE, Pacific Asian Consortium in Employment, KALEO, Korean American Law Enforcement Organization, and PACE Care. Before we get started, let me go over an overview of what we're going to be covering today. We'll have an introduction, hate crime trends and response, deeper dive in demographics and hate crime, definition, history of hate crime, what to do if you're a victim, bystander intervention, other ways to support Stop the Hate, a summary, and lastly, I'll be sharing some contact information that you can use in order to contact me or make some reports. The Korean American Law Enforcement Organization is a nonprofit organization with a focus in fostering the promotion and cultural understanding of Korean American law enforcement personnel throughout the country and worldwide. Our mission is to make a positive impact of our community, its members, and volunteers. We strive to strengthen our presence within the law enforcement community and grow as Korean American law enforcement officers. PACE, Pacific Asian Consortium in Employment, is a community development organization that annually serves over 40,000 low-income residents of the Los Angeles area by creating economic solutions to meet the challenges of employment, education, housing, the environment, and business development in the Pacific Asian and other diverse community. PACE Care, a subsidiary of PACE, is a senior care management company that helps families develop solutions for the long-term care needs of their elderly relatives, and they're a California certified home care agency. The reason we're doing this presentation in the background is that the rise in hate crime against Asian American has become a significant concern, with many incidents occurring in public space and social media. This issue is not new, and it has been increased by the COVID-19 pandemic. According to a recent report by Stop AAPI Hate, there has been nearly 11,500 reported incidents of anti-Asian hate since March of 2020. The purpose of this presentation, this training aims to provide an overview of what Asian hate is, how it manifests, and its impact on Asian American communities. We will also address what we can do to support and stand together with the Asian American community. We must acknowledge racism and xenophobia in the United States that have contributed to this issue. This presentation serves as a call to action for us all to take stand against hate and bigotry and to promote understanding, compassion, and inclusivity towards all communities. Before I continue with the presentation, I'd like to share a little video of what's been going on in the country and what the media has been presenting.
Disturbing videos of violence against Asian Americans are sadly a familiar sight these days, with an alarming surge in Asian hate crimes raging across the country. Hate attacks against Asian Americans rose nearly 150% in 2020, while decreasing for the general population.
Chinese virus.
Anti-Asian sentiment, many believe, is fueled by former President Donald Trump's repeated racist rhetoric, blaming the COVID-19 virus on China.
Asian pieces. Oh my God.
From racist remarks to vicious attacks and murders, the alarming acts of hate have been escalating. In March of last year, reports started to circulate of Asian Americans being sprayed with disinfectant, spit on, pushed, punched, and stabbed. In July, an 89-year-old Asian Brooklyn woman was set on fire by two boys. The local case made headlines and helped to raise awareness of the growing anti-Asian sentiment.
I don't know why anyone would ever do that. I feel so bad for her. I hope she's okay.
Sadly, the winter turned deadly as a violent attack in San Francisco by a 19-year-old on 84-year-old Thai American Richard Ratanapati later resulted in the elderly man's tragic death. March saw a grave turn in anti-Asian sentiment, first with a series of mass shootings by a 21-year-old man at 3 Atlanta spas that left 8 people dead, 6 of them Asian.
And the attacks in California have actually increased as well. And as you can see on this slide, last year until August of 2022, the attacks on African Americans, Latinos, Jewish community, LGBT community, and culminating with the anti-Asian hate going up 177%. And this increase could be for 2 reasons. One, more incidents are occurring. 2, more people are reporting it than before. And we encourage people to continue to report hate incident as well as hate crime. In 2021, an assembly bill was authored by Assemblymember Janet Nguyen that existing law requires the Attorney General to direct local law enforcement agencies to report information relating to hate crime to the Department of Justice. As specified, it requires the department to post that information on a specific internet website on or before July of each year. What this means is that each agency has to report hate crime on their website of their reports and incidents that happen in a yearly basis. The population of Asian American in the United States is about 24 million based on the 2020 census, and it makes up about 7.2% of the entire population of the United States, with the Chinese American community being the largest, followed by Indian Americans, Filipino Americans with about 4 million, and Vietnamese American with about 2.1 million, Korean Americans about 1.8 million, and Japanese American about 1 million. And of course, you have Thai, Hmong, and other smaller Asian population that make up the 24 million in the United States. In this map, you can see where the biggest concentration of Asians are, California being number 1, followed by New York, then Texas, then New Jersey, and number 5 is Illinois, and then followed by Washington, Florida, as well as Virginia and Massachusetts. In California, we have about 7 million Asian and make up about 18% of the population. And the largest Asian ethnic group is Filipino Americans, followed by Chinese Americans, then Vietnamese Americans, Indian Americans, Korean, and Japanese. From March 2020 to December 2021, a total of 10,905 hate incidents against Asian American and Pacific Islanders persons were reported to Stop AAPI Hate. And the type of incidents and discrimination is 66% harassment, 16% physical assault, 16% avoidance or shunning, online discrimination, coughed or spat upon, about 8%, job discrimination or hostile work environment makes up about 5.9%, graffiti, vandalism, robbery or theft, denial of service, and barred from transportation. Los Angeles, we have the distinction of being number 2 in the nation as major city with the most hate crime reported by the police. And followed by San Francisco, Columbus, San Jose, Denver, Sacramento. Hate crime in Los Angeles between January and March, between 2018 and 2022, as you can see, in 2018, we only had 47. In 2022, we have 138. And we in 2023, the numbers are projected to be higher. Some of the terms, xenophobia, dislike or prejudice against people from other country, prejudice, a preconceived evaluation or classification of other person based on that person's perceived age, religion, sexual orientation, race, ethnicity, language, and or nationality. Racism, a belief that race is a fundamental determinant of human trait and capacity, and that racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. Behavior or attitude that reflects and fosters this belief. Racial discrimination or prejudice. Hate crime. Hate crime must involve a crime, and it is often a violent crime such as assault, murder, arson, vandalism, or threat to commit such crime. It may also cover conspiring or asking another person to commit such crime, even if the crime was never carried out. Hate and bias incident. Hate and bias incidents are acts of prejudice that are not criminal or do not involve violence, threat, or property damage. The most common example are speech in the form of racial slur. And the Chinese or China, Asian virus, Wuhan virus, Kung flu, and Chinese plague are also words that has been used in the last few years in racist terms to describe COVID-19. These recent events are not new, and Asian hate is much more obvious and overt right now. There have been times in history where it was also more overt. The Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, where Chinese people were not allowed to enter the country. During World War II, the Japanese Americans were put in internment camps. And during the Korean and Vietnam War, there were also anti-Asian sentiments in the United States. However, often discrimination against the Asian community is covert and sneaky and not easily identified and often overlooked. History lessons in public schools exclude history of violence against Asian Americans. And discrimination, violence, and prejudice acts against the API community are often ignored and under scrutinized. At this website, www.justice.gov, they list all the hate crime case examples that happened in the country. And these were taken in 2022. Just a few of them that I posted here. Virginia men found guilty in bias-motivated attack on construction workers. Oregon white supremacist sentenced to prison for mailing threats to former teacher. California man arrested and charged with making anti-LGBTQ threats. New Jersey man charged with federal hate crime for attacking on members of Orthodox community. And the list goes on. And if you want to learn more about some of these case examples, you can go to www.justice.gov. Hate crime or hate incident. It is important to know the difference between a hate crime and a hate incident. A hate crime is a crime against a person, group, or property motivated by a victim's real or perceived protected social group. A hate crime can also be prosecuted either as a misdemeanor or felony, depending on the acts committed. In California, you can be a victim of a hate crime if you have been targeted because of your actual or perceived race or ethnicity, nationality, religion, gender, sexual orientation, physical or mental disability. A hate incident is an action or behavior motivated by hate, but which for one or more reason is not a crime. Example of hate incidents include name-calling, insults, displaying hate material on your property, displaying hate material on your own property, posting hate material that does not result in property damage, or distribution of material with hate messages in public places. Distinction between a hate incident and a hate crime. Hate incidents are not criminal acts. They involve hostile or hateful speech or disrespectful or discriminatory behavior motivated by bias. Nevertheless, they have not escalated to become crimes because they have not met the elements to make it into a crime. If you're a hate crime victim, you should contact the police right away by calling 911, get medical attention if needed, save all evidence, whether it's graffiti, eggshells, writing on victim's vehicle, and most important, write down important information and document it. If you're a hate crime victim, also contact law enforcement to report the incident, take photos, get the names, addresses, phone number, and emails of witnesses, and try to get a description from any witness of the suspect or vehicle. Contact community organizations in your area that responds to hate incidents or hate crime. if you experience hate incident, as well, report the incident after the fact. Take photos and document it. Also get the names, addresses, and phone numbers, and email of witnesses. Try to get a description from any eyewitness of the perpetrator or the vehicle. Contact community organizations in your area that responds to hate incidents or hate crime. Quick knowledge check before we continue. Xenophobia is a fear or hatred of people who dress differently, people who views are differently, foreigners and stranger, people carrying infectious disease such as COVID, that should be COVID-19, not COVID-1. The answer is xenophobia is a fear of hatred of foreigners and strangers. That's the correct answer. What can you do to help reduce xenophobia? Call out racist language, celebrate other cultures and honor differences, report bullying and attacks, all of the options. The correct answer is all of the above. Call out racist language, celebrate other cultures and honor differences, report bullying and attacks. What if you witness a hate crime or incident? This is taken from a website called Right to Be, and their website address is www.righttobe.org, and it gives you direction as to what to do if you are a bystander who is witnessing a hate crime or hate incident. They call it the 5 Ds of bystander, and it involves distract, delegate, document, delay, and direct. Interventions you can use to support someone who is being harassed, emphasize that harassment is not okay, and demonstrate to people that they have the power to make their community safer. The first D of bystander intervention is to distract. Distraction is a subtle and creative way to intervene. It is simply to derail the incident of harassment by interrupting it. The key of good distractions are ignore the person who is harassing and engage directly with the person who is being harassed. Don't talk about or refer to the harassment that is happening. Instead, talk about something completely unrelated. So on this example, if two persons were engaged in some harassment or hate incident or hate crime, you can kind of say, excuse me, where's the bus? Where do I go to take the bus? And this distraction may interrupt what's going on and then could diffuse the incident going on. Or you can say, excuse me, can you tell me what time it is? And perhaps that way it's going to make a stop. The next D in bystander intervention is delegate. Delegation is asking a third party for help with intervening in harassment. The key to delegations are looking for a delegate who is ready and willing to help. Often a great choice is the person right next to you. When you delegate someone to help you, try to tell them as clearly as possible what you're witnessing and how you'd like them to help. So if you're witnessing something, you can turn to the person next to you and say, hey, look, this person is saying this and that to this other person. we need to go help. Or if you're at a bus, you can say, well, bus driver, this person is harassing or is doing this to this individual. Can you make it stop? So you're delegating and get help from someone else. The next D is to document. Documentation involves either recording or taking notes on an instance of harassment. It can be really helpful to record an incident of harassment, but there are some keys to safety and responsibly documenting harassment. 1, assess the situation. Is anyone helping the person being harassed? If not, use another of the 5 Ds. Recording someone's experience or harm without ensuring they're already receiving help can just create further trauma for them. If someone else is already helping out, assess your own safety, and if you're safe, begin documenting, meaning taking photos or recording what's going on. Always ask the person who was harassed what they want to do with the recording and or notes, and never post it online or use it without their permission. So documentation, by you taking videos or taking photos, but do it with the purpose of documenting the incident, not for social media, since that's for you to post it on social media. And if you were to do so, ask the victim or the person involved in the video whether it is okay to do or not. The next D of bystander intervention is delay. Even if we can't act in the moment, we can still make a difference for someone who's been harassed by checking in on them after the fact. Many types of harassment happens in passing or very quickly, and it's not always possible we'll have a chance to intervene in another way. But we don't have to just ignore what's happened and move on. We can help reduce the person's trauma by speaking to them after an instance of harassment. So after the fact, if you can check in by saying, are you okay? Do you need me to call somebody? Is there anything I can do? What do you need me to do? And by you checking on them is delay. And the last is direct. Sometimes we may want to respond directly. Direct. Direct may want to respond directly to harassment by naming the inappropriate behavior, confronting the person doing the harm. Use this one with caution because direct intervention can be risky. The person harassing may redirect their abuse towards the intervening bystander, which means you, or may escalate the situation in other way. The first key to direct intervention is to assess the situation before you decide to respond by asking yourself the following questions. Are you physically safe? Is the person being harassed physically safe? Does it seem unlikely that the situation will escalate? Can you tell if the person being harassed wants someone else to speak up? If you can answer yes to all these questions, you may choose to respond directly. The second key to direct intervention is to keep it short and clear. As tempting as it may be, avoiding engaging in dialogue, debate, or argument, since this is how situations can escalate. Meaning, if you're going to get involved, make sure you do it in a safe manner. And if you do it, keep it short. to say, this is not right, stop what you're doing. Or that's inappropriate, leave them alone, but do it in a forceful way that is easily understood. So if you decide to get involved, make sure that it is done in a direct way, and then always have in mind for your own personal safety. What you and your community can do: speak out against hate and intolerance, have community rallies to support victims, offer support and help to victims, ask public officials to speak out against hate crime. Fight violence and racism summary. Speak out if you're a witness. Speak out if you witness a hate crime or incident. Report the hate crime or incident. Consider taking part in a training about hate. Advocate for awareness in your workplace. Of course, if you are in an emergency or somebody is in immediate harm's way, 911 is the best number to call. But if you have questions afterwards or you need to report it, these are also useful numbers. You can call the county hotline, 211, as well as there is also the city hotline, which is 311. If it's not an immediate emergency, you may also call the Ask LAPD, which is 877-529-3835. And you can also leave an anonymous tip at that number. You can get resources online at AAPI Hate at this website, stopaapihate.org. And let's have another knowledge check. Are all bias incident hate crimes? Yes or no? No. In many instances, they can be verbal harassment or discrimination against someone based on their identity, but the incident does not involve an underlying crime such as aggravated harassment, physical attack, or threats of attack or property damage. Does law enforcement take report for hate crime? Yes, every law enforcement agency tracks hate crime data, and the department is required to post the information on a specified website on or before July 1st of each year. Does law enforcement usually take report for hate incidents? No, not every law enforcement agency take reports for a hate incident. However, you can report hate incidents in the LA County number of 211 and the city number of 311, or you can go to the website stopaapihate.org. You may also get some information and report hate crime at LA versus Hate, and their website is on the bottom of this page, which is www.laversus.org. You can also get information at the California Attorney General's website, which is www.oag.ca.gov/hate crime. And this is my information. If anybody needs it, you can reach me at ben@kaleousa.org or my LAPD email at r6080@lapd.online. Well, thank you for listening to this presentation. If you have any questions, you can reach me at the 2 emails that I have listed here. And thank you very much for listening.